Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a topic on objects and classes, right? In C++. So before we go for that, let me understand what is an object. So an object can be a person, comma, place, or a thing which has which has real world existence. So which has real world existence. So when I say real world existent, not everything which exists in the real world are considered as an object. For example, if you take an ant is a living thing and we feel that it is a real existence and it is an object. But here one thing we need to observe, that when we see a single ant, then we say it's an object because we can identify it. But when we group all this more than 10-20 ants together in a single group, then we fail to identify individual ant. So these ants, when they are in a group, fails that unique identification, right? So when the purpose of saying this example is that whenever you talk about object, it should have unique identification apart from real world existence. Is it clear? That is a must. Next, coming to that, so when you talk about an object, every object is associated with a data and a functions that defines some meaningful operation to be performed on that object. So means what? Each and every object will have some data to store and some operations, some functions to perform on that data, right? So that is an object, and objects which are exhibiting the same behavior are grouped together and represented as a class. So now we are talking about a class, right? So when you talk about a class, so what is a class? A class in C++ is an user defined type or a data structure declared with the keyword called class, right? So declared with the keyword called class. So class is what? It is nothing but an user defined type, or we say data structure. So this class consisting of data members, I'll just say data, and functions to operate on the data, right? So here data are nothing but the data members or variables which are declared. So data are what? Data are variables which are declared inside the class, and when you talk about functions, these are nothing but member, these are known as member functions operated on the data, right? So this is regarding a class, right? So we'll see a simple example here. Just we'll see a template for this, how to create a class. To create a class, you need to use a keyword called class followed by name of the class. A name of the class can be anything. Here I'll just give sample as the name of the class, right? Class name. After that, so you have to open a curly braces and close with a curly braces, and each and every class should end with a semicolon, right? Should end with a semicolon, and inside this we can write the body of the class. So inside this we can write the body of the class, and each and every class should be terminated by a semicolon, right? So this is how you can create a class, right? So inside the body of the class, here in this we can write our logic, we can declare our data members, we can write our member functions to operate on the data, right? So this is a things. So if you want to access the data, right, so we need to go for access specifiers, that we'll discuss in the next video, right? Now we'll see an example, how to create a class. Example, Right. Example, I'll take class sample. I'll take class sample. So and go for a curly braces. Right. Inside the curly braces, what happens? I'll declare some data members. I'll just say int a comma b. Right. Int a comma b. So these are known as what? Data members. Data members. Right. So data members. Next, what we can do? We can define some member functions such as get, put. You can take some variable values, some parameter or no. So these are nothing but your member functions. This is also known as member functions. Right. So this is how you need to write a class. And once you finish writing a class, close the class and terminate the class with an semicolon. So this is a general syntax or example of how to create an class. Right. Now we'll see an example program how to clear it. Right. So before seeing that, we'll just say how to, after creating a class, how to access the data member. Right. So to access a data member, first of all, we need to create an object. We need to create an object of the class. Right. So here, once you create a class, memory for the data members of the class are not being allocated. So memory is allocated when an object of a class is created. So you need to create an object. Then only the memory will be allocated. Right. So to create an object, what we have to do? We have to use the name class name followed by some object name. You can take whatever name you want. You can take it as an object name. Right. So here I will just say example. For the above I have created sample class, sample S. Right. So here I am creating one object called S. So S is an object, or we say a variable of a class or instance of a class. So once the object is been created, memory for the data members is been allocated. Right. For example, in C++, integer is 4 bytes. 4 plus 4, 8 bytes of memory is allocated for this object S. So here I have created only one object. If you want, you can create n number of objects separating by a comma. And whenever you're creating object, make sure that you don't create same member name, that is variable name. Object name should not be same. So this is how you can create an object. Now after creating an object, how to access the how to access members of a class. Right. So in order to access the member of a class, you need to go for dot operator. You need to go for using dot operator. Right. So here what it is? So here if you say you want to access any function, so what object we have created? S dot get. S dot get. S dot put some 10. Right. So this is how you can access the members of class. Is it clear? Now we'll demonstrate this with an example program. Yes. So we'll go for the turbo editor. Right. So here I'll start writing the class. So if you want to write a C++ program, we need to write some kind of libraries, or we should use some header files. So why? Because we are making use of some standard built-in functions, such as we can say cout, cin for print and read the values. For that reason, we go for creating an header file called #include iostream.h. #include iostream.h. Alright. So now what I'm doing? So I will create a class. Right. So I'll just go for. So before that, I'll make some formatting also. #include. I'll just go for conio.h. So all these libraries are being supported. Whatever libraries are there in C are supported in C++. Now we'll go for creating a class sample. Right. So I have created a class called sample. In that I am specifying the data member. So int a comma b. So here what happens, inside a class, whenever you define a data member, we need to specify the access specifier. So what is this access specifier? This access specifier specifies the type of access to be made over the data. So there are three different access specifier that we'll discuss later. At present, I have just declared two data members, and by default I did not specify any access specifier indicates what it is private in nature, right? So when I say private in nature, it can be accessed by only the member function of the class, right? So now some part I will declare it as public. So if you want to declare anything as public, then you have to use the keyword called public followed by colon, right? If you don't declare any access specifier, by default it is private in nature. So here I will define two methods. I'll just say one get int x comma int y. Alright, I'll define a method. I'll write the body of the method. So inside the body method, what I'll do, I'll just say whatever I read in x should be stored in a. So a is equal to x. Next, b is equal to y. Right, b is equal to y. So whatever the values of x and y are being passed, that is being stored into the data members called a and b. Right, next one we'll write one method to display the data. I'll just say void put. Right, void put. Sorry. Yes, here I will just say cout. Cout. I'll just say a is equal to a. Right. So this will print the value of a. So I'll use some end line and end of line. Right. I want the next value to be displayed in the next line. So I'm using end line. Right. Next, b is equal to b. Right. So this is finished. Close the method. Now after finishing writing the definition of the member functions, then you have to close the curly braces and put a semicolon indicating it is end of the class. Alright. So here I want to access the data members or methods get and put of this class called sample. So directly I cannot access. For that reason I should create an object. So what I'll do, I'll just go for the main function. Inside the main function, what happens? I'll just create an object for this class. So I'll just say sample yes. So here I've created one object. Alright, one object, or you can say it as instance. So by using the objects only we can access the data members of a class. So I'll say object dot, I'll just say get. Object dot get. Here the get method takes two values. So I'll say 10 comma 20. Close. Right. What is this? Accessing the members of a class. Right. So next what I'll do? I'll just say s dot put. S dot put. And then I will close the class. So before closing the class, I'll just use getch because I'm using Turbos editor. The output has to be displayed. Yes, it is just used for formatting purpose. Right. So only two things are important. One is creating an object, and second one is nothing but the methods to be accessed. Right. So this is how we can write the simple example on a class. Now we'll save this one. I'll just say sam.cpp. CPP stands for C++ file. Right. So if you say .c indicates it's a C file. Save it and compile the program and run the program. See, when you run the program, you can see there the variable a is assigned 10 and the variable b is assigned 20. Right. So this is a small example on how to create a class. Next. So these are what? These are data members, and these are what? These are member functions. Right. This is an object, and this is how you can access the data member of the class. Right. So is it clear? So thanks for watching. Thank you.